Hello, fellow ex-citizens. In today's episode, I'm just going to talk a little bit about how to think about your electricity solution when buying land. So let's begin at the buying land stage, right? Because when you buy a land for your home to build your home, you need to be thoughtful about the home you are going to build and the amenities you want. And one of those key amenities is your electricity. But what do you think? You should have a mental model about electricity when buying your land in Liberia. So don't even start thinking about electricity after you've got the land. I would say start thinking about it and include it into your purchasing of land decision-making process. And here is why. First of all, here is the plan you should make. So let me just be very brutal and straightforward. The plan you should make whenever you are buying land for your future home, plan to have your own electricity solution. Don't rely on grid electricity. Don't rely on government. Don't say, oh, I saw LEC workers, planting posts around here. Therefore, I will soon have electricity. That might be true. You might soon have electricity, but what quality of electricity will you get? Is it going to be sufficient to supply your needs? The answer is most likely no. It's going to be periodic. You're going to have electricity periodically, and even during the periods you will have the electricity, most likely it is going to be sporadic during a given week. And even when it is present, it may not even support all of your loads. Remember in one of the previous videos, I told you about the sleeping light bulbs? These things are real. You will have LEC power in your home and you can't even turn on your microwave because it can't support the great power. The power that is coming through the line. I mean real power in terms of the physics, the power, right? The wattage that is coming through your line, right? It is so low that you're not even going to get sufficient usage of that power that is being delivered. So let's be honest with ourselves. When you're buying land somewhere, do not think that, because LEC line is here, so I should buy land here, versus LEC line is not here, I shouldn't buy land here. I do not make my decisions like that. When I'm buying land, buy your land with the notion that you are going to be responsible for your own electricity. And let me tell you why. And I'm going to talk about post-war era. I'm not old enough to talk about pre-war government's policy towards electricity. Post-war, all of the governments have failed us when it comes to electricity. In fact, the truth is they have not only failed us, right? They have used that whole electricity energy institutions like the LEC as an instrument of massive theft. That is just plain and simple. Let's go back to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf period, right? The Mount Coffee Hydro Dam, it was a wasteful spending project. It was basically laden with corruption. Let me just make it explicitly clear. Those people stole enough money from that project. Prominent Liberians were involved. So there's sometimes people affiliated with that regime come to brag about it. It's complete false. We should not fool ourselves. That project was a wasteful spending project. It was in fact thoughtless, if you ask me. It would be thoughtless if they were actually intending to do the right thing. So you can't even argue both ways. Either they thought that was the right thing they were doing and it was thoughtless, and that means there were a bunch of people who were basically unqualified to do the job they were supposed to do, or the other reality, and which is what I think is true, is that they just wanted to steal some money. Basically, that's it. There is no way you can justify the cost of that project with the benefit that we had. And these were not innocent mistake, my people. This was complete broad day stealing at the highest level of that government to the lowest level of the people involved in that project. It was complete theft. Let's move from Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Come to George Weah regime. Again, LEC has failed us, and again, it was an instrument of theft. Let me tell you now, in this new regime, let me tell you what is happening between George Weah regime and this regime. So in George Weah time, the government was allocating around $12 million in the budget for LEC. And you all saw the quality of delivery of service that you got. Okay? $12 million in the budget. You saw what we were getting. In this regime, the latest budget they just passed, the allocation, the allotment of money for LEC dropped from $12 million to $3 million without any other source of finance listed anywhere that is intended to at least cover the gap between what used to be allotted during George Weah regime versus what is allotted here now, right? So, so you think about that a little bit, right? Think about that a little bit. We're talking about a $9 million budget reduction, $9 million budget reduction without any clear indication of where that extra $9 million may come from for us to even sustain the George Weah level of service that LEC provided, which was completely subpar, completely, like, terrible. Let me just be honest with you. That is what we're getting for $12 million. But again, as I said, the whole LEC thing is a game of basically people wanting to steal. That is it exactly. So you're not going to get that. Now, this new government, the reduction to $3 million, basically tells you the priority they are giving to LEC. At least if the budget was high, then we will start arguing about we want to get the service that basically is commensurate with the money we put in behind LEC. But if you're not even getting proper, like the $3 million, let's put it into perspective. If you are building additional power capacity for the country right now, right? Because we don't have enough power, we don't generate enough power for our country to support our needs. But if you wanted to build an additional power capacity in that country, let me tell you what the $3 million can do for you. In fact, let's talk about something that I really know a lot about, which is solar power generation. So you will think about building a solar farm. Guess what size of solar farm you will build with that $3 million? Let's assume that entire $3 million allotted to LEC was used to just fund energy expansion, capacity increment. So we're not talking about paying the workers, because that $3 million, all of it is probably going to go there, right? But let's just think about if we were using that money to just expand our energy capacity, because that is what sound government would do and say, hey, since we're not producing enough, let's make sure our budget can reflect that we want to increase our capacity, right? You would think that is what sound people would do. But let's talk about what that $3 million would do where we thinking of even increasing capacity. It will build you 1 megawatt solar farm capacity, 1 megawatt. That means between additional 400 to 1,000 homes, Liberian home measure, right? Like the energy capacity of Liberian homes, right? I mean, like maybe 4-bedroom or 5-bedroom homes in Liberia. Additional 800, let's say an average of 800 homes, would be able to be supported by that 1 megawatt power. That is your investment. That is the value of what you will get for investing the $3 million to build an additional 1 megawatt solar farm. But 1 megawatt solar farm increment at the level of government is nothing, my people. But forget about that. I'm just telling you the value of what that $3 million will do. But that's not what that $3 million is going to do. I don't know the breakdown of what they're going to use for that money. But think about it. Let's just take away the salaries of all those top officials in LEC, right? And then their double salary and their corruption-laden techniques that they're going to steal again. That little $3 million. Just deduct all of that and see how much will be left. So first of all, like, we've always had a situation, like, we are just a thoughtless group of people in this country. Let's think about this thing. Like, we had we had an LEC management under George Weah that basically was proud to be bragging about the amount of dollars they spent to repair a generator. Now, for corporations like these type of entities, government entities, if they are run by qualified managers who know how to set their KPIs, their key performance indexes, right? They know how to measure the metrics of success for their businesses, right? One of the things they will be highlighting is like an annual report, basically, that tells you your hits are your wins. Like, in fact, normally, like, businesses can sometimes do this on a quarterly cycle, right? Every 3 months, the business will tell you, these were our wins. These are our big things, the successful things we are proud of. So those are your hits. And then your misses are the things that you failed to do, that you, knowing what you know today, you would have made better decisions. But it's understandable that when you made those decisions, right, someone can read there and say, yeah, you had to make 2 choices, and given the information you had at the time, you just made a wrong choice, but it was an innocent mistake. Or sometimes it could be something that someone is to be blamed for, like you can be blamed for it. And businesses will admit that we should have done this. With that given information we had, we just blundered. It was pure blunder. We made a mistake. Those are your misses. That's what businesses can list under your misses. Innocent mistakes or just foolish, stupid mistakes. You list them there to learn from it, right? And then the next thing you want to list is your changes. So you see, you won some things, you have big victories you are proud of, you pat yourself on the back. Then you have some misses, right? Innocent mistakes or stupid mistakes. And then the key thing about changes is what you learn from these mistakes. In fact, sometimes some businesses will report 4 of those 4 areas: your wins or your hits, your misses, your lessons learned, and your changes, right? And sometimes people can combine the last 2, right? The lessons learned and changes into just changes, right? Because you learn from your misses and even your wins to basically outline what are the things you are going to change based on what you have learned from those wins and misses. Now, LEC, it's sound management. I don't know who's running that thing, but I don't care. Like, it's not about individuals, really. It's really just about, like, poor performance. Like, people come around and pretend like they know what they're doing, but they don't. Either the part is a combination of ignorance and just interest in just pure stealing, pure theft. And this is why, like, I don't like to listen to people who say it is not a president's fault, it is the people around him. We have never had, like, real president with intent to do right post-war Liberia, period. Because you can judge them by their action. These people were either spineless or a combination of being spineless or they themselves being corrupt. Look, this conversation is just going to hurt some people, and I really don't care. I have no interest in appeasing or appealing to anybody's feelings here. It's the fact we need to say it. Our leaders have been spineless and corrupt themselves. I'm not holding any deputy of the leader or appointed man responsible. The presidents we have had, they have been spineless and corrupt. That is basically what has been happening. And that is why they appoint these people who will probably give them some kickbacks, or they have some political goodwill for their electability, or even complete financial collusion with some of these people that they appoint in positions. That is the fact. You can jump off the roof if you want, but that is just the raw fact, right? So we have these presidents, or we've had these post-war presidents who have just been like that, like completely negligent when it comes to adhering to the sound principles that will lift our country's energy sector up. We're even talking about all the other blunders, right? To laser focus on electricity, energy, electricity. That's what we are talking about today. Nothing else. And my point I'm trying to make is that all of our post-war presidents have failed us in that area. And they've used the LEC entity as a well laid out mechanism, a well planned mechanism to carry on massive corruption. That is basically what it is. Like, you can't sugarcoat this thing, right? You either here to appeal to power, or to gravel to power, because that is one thing in Liberia we do very well. Like the moment someone has a appointed position, we are all there, bowing to them and worshiping them, right? Oh, in fact, the president is always like, the blame is always shifted away from the president. It's not the president, it's the people around him. Like thoughtless and mindless excuses on behalf of the president, because people are always hoping that I don't want to say the right thing, which is going to be basically, bruising the president's ego, because tomorrow he might not, look upon me kindly. People are always hoping that, let me continue to be nice to the president for tomorrow's sake, because I could likely come in view, like in the president's radar, and he could help me out. Like that is the number one killer of serious citizen and population action in Liberia. So anyway, this thing is getting too deep along those lines. But let's come back to it. Land buy decision process. So let me tell you now. When I was in college, about 2 decades ago, broke college students, undergrads, right? We used to have like see flyers, right, about parties, people hosting parties, and they used to put on a BYOB, and I didn't know what it meant. What basically it meant is that bring your own beer, BYOB. So it was a bunch of broke college students, right? You throw in a party, you want to buy beer for all the people who are coming to the party. You say, everybody bring your own beer. The only thing most hosts used to have is like some games, like board games or some outdoor games available, card games or things like that. But anything you come in to drink or eat, you better bring your own stuff, right? So this is my advice to people. If you want to live a comfortable life in a home that you are building, buy a land somewhere where you will enjoy. Do not hope on LEC. Instead, BYOE. Bring your own electricity. That is my advice to you. Like, you can take it or leave it. Like, buy a land in a remote place if you want to. Do not buy land because you saw LEC land running. You are wasting your time. This LEC problem is not, I am not hopeful that it will be solved in this regime. Let me just make it very clear. I don't live by hope. I live by evidence, real evidence, what I see. And the actions, the steps that I'm seeing right now is not encouraging in terms of like our energy future. Let me just make it very clear. It is not encouraging. You can turn a blind eye to it because maybe you are a super loyalist, but that's fine. You can do that. But hey, to people who care about the facts, right? To people who care about the facts and people who wish to listen to some of us who really don't care, like whether people look at us favorably or not. I mean, this is a national thing actually, and people like in those high positions like presidents or whosoever, maybe they should be listening to people like us than to people who are just there singing praises to them always. The fact is the fact. Like, either you you need to show some spine as a president and do the right thing, make the right decisions. You can't come and just continue the same old bad behaviors. Like, it doesn't make sense. And Liberia is not going to go anywhere. So, folks, we have to build Liberia, and I continue to say that we need to do most of that work from the private sector. We need to basically work harder than we've been working in the private sector. And kudos to all the Liberian entrepreneurs, business owners who are working hard day and night, right? Locally, fighting the system just to make sure that they can emerge as prominent business leaders or as successful business leaders in Liberia. Look, hats off to you guys. Always, constantly, I will always give you that credit. Like, it's amazing what you do, right? So, folks, same thing. We have to basically just plan for those things. When you buy your land, don't count on like LEC planting poles, man. Like, you are wasting your time, man. Those LEC lands. Look, I have personal experience with LEC, man. I don't want to hatch everything out here, but it suffices to say that they are unreliable, and they were unreliable all of the times that I have tried to use the LEC. It's been unreliable. And fortunately for me, I was able to carry a very solid, reliable generator set in Liberia. And that is what I have relied on most of the times when I needed to have electricity. Other than that, no way. Now I have transitioned to solar, which is super, super good. And by the way, in the future, I'll be talking about a solar solution that I'm planning for XHQ building. When the things I'm planning for that building in terms of the energy efficiency, the renewable energy sources, it's costly, but I'm not kidding. Like, I'm gonna pack some things in that building. It's gonna be groundbreaking, to be quite honest with you. But I'm not gonna reveal anything here now. I'm not going to say anything. But again, remember, don't go buying, don't let anyone fool you. Say, oh, there are plenty of poles here, so this is where you should buy your land. Rely on yourself for your own energy, my people. Liberian government, post-war government, none of them have been serious about our energy situation. Instead, they've used LEC as their cash cow, steal money from the public, basically, and do nothing and lie to you always. That's what they are. That's what they've been. And this latest one is probably going to be like that, from judging from the initial steps they've taken. Goodbye. Take care.